welcome to the Transfer Exchange Show. I'm your host, Kieran Stewart, and we are live, yes, on a Wednesday. And you're thinking, what is going on? What is going on? Well, we've changed the format. The Transfer Exchange Show. Transfer Roundup is now on a Wednesday at 8 o'clock every Wednesday. It's its own show. I did once say this has got enough to have its own show, and it has. We've broken it up into bits because it wasn't easy to digest for some of you. But now it's bite size. We've got our panel, of course. We've got our chief scout, Steve K. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, how you doing, Kieran? How you doing, Jerome? It's good to be here on our what is it?
Debut.
Yeah.
And of course, we've got the voice. We haven't said that in a while. The voice, aka the vision, and the voice. It's Jerome Marks. How you doing?
I'm good. Not bad. Thanks. Nice to makes a change on a Wednesday.
Yeah,
makes a change, but it's it's nice.
Change for the better. The better. Today we're gonna be cramming in plenty of transfer news. We've got news about Barcelona, Everton, Man United, Arsenal, Dortmund. There is so much transfer news. I don't know where to start. We've also got a little bit from Jerome about the under-21s youth players. There's going to be in the under-21s tournament at the end of the year. We've got Jerome's opinion on some of the young up-and-coming, or maybe even unknown players that are about in the transfer roundup this week as well. So. Let's start with you, Jerome. Jerome, you had a little look at some under-21s youth. You picked out your two that took your eye a couple of weeks ago, and there's a couple more that you've been looking into this week. Who are they?
Yeah. So they're both a couple of strikers for this week. The first one is a striker that plays for Russia. He's actually 22, even though he plays for under-21s. I guess it's one of those overlapping ones in terms of age. So he plays for CSKA Moscow, and his name is Fedor Chalov. Okay,
Fedor Chalov. He's meant to be a good player, Fedor Chalov.
Yeah, he's actually been linked with Chelsea in the past. And despite only being 22, he's already played like well over 100 times for CSKA Moscow, and his goal scoring record for him is pretty good. He's scored about 40 goals in sort of just over 100 games. He's one of those strikers that is a pure penalty box striker in terms of his finishing, very cool in front of goal. Doesn't really drop too deep to link in with play. His job is to get in the box and score. And as well as scoring goals, he also tends to be very live, and he'll make something happen. If he gets on the ball, he's not just one to sort of, I'll just lay it off. He's like, his whole thing is goals and getting involved. And so that is Fedor Chalov, very, very highly rated.
Do you know what? I think what's his name? Alan. I think Alan mentioned Fedor Chalov previously. So it's good that he's sort of, because I think one thing that Alan said is sometimes the Russian players don't get picked up, but he did say this is one kid that he hopes does get picked up. So maybe in the under-21s tournament, he might catch a few eyes.
Yeah, I mean, for someone sort of at that age, he's already scored plenty of goals, like in the top flight. So not a bad sign that.
All right.
Yeah. Now the second one is, I reckon, someone that will be very well known to us in the future, because I think he looks like a really top player. And that is a striker that plays for Italy, and his name is Gianluca Scamacca.
Yeah,
okay. Now, slightly different type of striker to Fedor Chalov. So he's owned by a team called Sassuolo in Italy, but at the moment he's on loan at Genoa. Right?
They do that quite a lot.
Yeah, now he's been all over really in terms of his youth career. So he's played at PSV, he's played at Lazio, Roma, and he's 6'4", 6'5", very, very strong target man. But for someone so big, he really moves and dribbles well with the ball. And despite the fact he's only scored 5 league goals this season, he's earned like loads of plaudits for the way he plays. He's one of those players. He's got loads of confidence that sort of borders on arrogance, but like in a really positive way.
Yeah.
And he's very skillful on the ball. I mean, when Arnautovic was on the top of his game, like at Stoke, like he could come up with these bits of skills. Big guy, and it reminds me of him a tiny bit. Some of the work that he does on the ball, but he looks top draw. This guy.
He looks decent, yeah.
He's a good player.
All right. We're definitely keeping an eye out for him. I'm sure if there's any transfer news involved with him, Carlo will let us know. All right. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, people. We're just about to go into the transfer roundup now. Let's go. All right. A tearful Pablo Dubois scored his 99th goal for Juventus last week, and he's been out for 3 months with a knee injury, and the relief was plain to see on Dybala's face. He's set to hold talks in May, but with Tottenham ready to put an offer in potentially. Leicester City has sent out representatives to Germany to talk to Dortmund with regards to a possible signing of Thorgan Hazard. As Belgium Yari Tillemans might not be signing a new contract. That'd be a massive loss for Leicester. Surely. Is there any links with Tillemans to any other squads? Since he's not signed a new deal?
No, it was a funny one. It was just all of a sudden, I got the text through, and it said that Tillemans was stalling on a new contract, and that they've been looking at Thorgan Hazard as a replacement. And I'm sure it's going to come up. I'm sure it's going to come up in the next few days. It's one that we need to keep an eye on. Yeah,
definitely, mate, definitely. Barcelona star Ousmane Dembele is close to signing a 3-year extension on his current deal. He says he's happy and his family and he's finally feeling at home now. I mean, it's hard for these players. He's very young and went for a lot of money, so people are expecting him to hit the ground running. And when he doesn't, people like to. Everyone's a body language expert, aren't they? And as soon as a shoulder gets shrugged or there's a frown on someone's face, they're not playing for the manager or he's had enough there and he wants out, because that's what his body language says. And it's nonsense. The kid's had a few injuries as well, which he's been very unlucky with. And I think if he didn't get his injury in and around just before COVID, I think his season might have been a bit different, because he was starting to get some game time, and they actually had to bring in Martin Braithwaite because of his injury, didn't they? Which is why he wasn't able to play when they came back out of COVID, because he was his emergency signing. So at that time they were starting to play, and he was starting to get a nice little bit of a run. So yeah. It's nice to see that he's settling. Liverpool have made their interest in Barcelona midfielder Pedri known, prompting the Catalan club to offer the Spanish international a new deal, release clause of around 350 million. I think you looked at Pedri previously, didn't you, Jerome? It seems like he's actually coming up chance for Barcelona now.
Yeah. Quality player.
Yeah. Silky play, you
see. I spoke to Jason and Barcelona, and Pedri's not going. They haven't got no intentions of selling Pedri. He's not going.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be mad, really, because he seems to be their new golden boy.
Yeah.
As well as Fatty and the rest of their ridiculously good youth players that they've got.
Puig.
Yeah. Harry Kane will push to leave Tottenham if they don't get Champions League this summer. I mean, how long can he stay at Tottenham if they don't really start doing something? I know he's saying Champions League there, and it's an easy one to grab hold of. But how long can he potentially, if they just don't win, if they don't win cups or anything? At what point in his career would he turn around and say, "Okay, I've got to move on"?
Yeah. It's now or never, isn't it? I suppose.
He can't stay there forever.
No.
Without
I
winning
mean,
anything, man.
if he doesn't leave this season, I don't think he leaves at all, because I think this is the season where a lot of clubs are looking to get a big striker. Manchester United are, Manchester City are, Barcelona are, Real Madrid are. I mean, you're talking.
And there's only a certain amount of top draw strikers in the world.
Yeah. So he knows that them clubs are looking for a top draw striker. So if he says, well, no, I'm still not sure, then for one, I don't think he wants to leave, and he won't leave. That's what I think, because this is his biggest opportunity.
Yeah.
Also, he can probably see. I know he's obviously older than Haaland, but the figures that people are talking about with Haaland in terms of his wages, and he probably thinks I can score as many goals as Haaland. That's
But Jerome, is there a difference in price? Do you think between Haaland and Kane? I mean, Kane's improved since the last time we spoke, and we were talking about his price tag. Is there a big difference between the two now?
What would you value him as?
Well, for me, Haaland's worth more just because of the age.
Yeah.
But because Kane's English, that sort of levels out the price. That's why they're probably quite similar. What price would I give Haaland or Kane? Yeah.
Both,
mate. Yeah.
Well, they're both 100 plus, aren't they?
How much would you pay for Kane?
I think
it's hard.
It's hard. It is hard. And you know what? I'll tell you what. These players, you pay anything. You just want them.
Yeah.
Look, it's not going to be something like 200. You're looking at between 120 and 150, I suppose. But
yeah. And
it's mental when you're even saying those.
Yeah, but I know it is, but it's like there's only so much you can of a value you can put on Kane because of his age, and Haaland on the other end, there's only so much you can put on his value because of his age and inexperience, because he's done it in Germany, but for how long? How long is that extended for? Whereas Harry Kane has done it for a certain amount of time in England. Record goal scorer, Golden Boot winner, and people are just waiting to slot him into the right club for him to do it at their club. It is a tough. I think I'd say around 120 million to 150 million, but I think 150 million is top end for Harry Kane, top end. And I'm not sure anyone would pay that, if I'm honest.
I was going to say 120 million, and well, the price tag that Dortmund have put on Haaland is 150, isn't it?
Yeah.
But how much money do you put? Do you take off of that for the fact of Kane's that he plays in the Premiership and that he could possibly go to? Let's just take him for instance. He goes to Manchester United or Manchester City. They might be happy to pay the 120 million because he could be worth an extra 30 million for the fact that he's played in the Premiership.
Exactly.
Because he's proven. So you've got that. So really, you're looking at if you're upstairs and you're thinking, right, who do I go for? And you're Manchester City or Man United, you're looking at Kane, aren't you? For like money-wise.
If I'm Man United and I'm the Glaziers and I'm going to go Solskjaer, I'm like, I want two signings. I want a defender, centre back, and I want Harry Kane. Because I think Harry Kane could push Man United over that edge to potentially, you're talking about a 25 to 30 season striker. And that just takes care of itself. You stick him with a Rashford, a Martial, a Fernandes. It's serious. It's serious. Whether they've got to replace Pogba, I don't know. Whether he stays, I don't know. Whatever happens. But you just stick Harry Kane in any club. Like you take Harry Kane out of Tottenham, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
You stick Harry Kane in any other club, you've propelled them up 4 or 5 spots, or even bridge that gap in points between Man City and whoever.
I think if I'm Harry Kane and I'm sitting in there and I'm talking to you privately, I'm thinking to myself, if I go to Man City, if I go Manchester United, we're winning the title because I'm going to get 30 goals like I always do.
Yeah.
And to slot into that team now with already the players that they've got, it's a game changer for those two clubs. Well, Man City have already. I mean, it's a massive. I mean, it's in the story if Kane goes to Man City. God, if he goes there. But again, with Manchester United, it could be the same story if he went there.
It definitely bridges the gap. It definitely bridges the gap. All right. I might as well go to you on this one, Steve. Real Madrid are considering themselves leading contenders to sign World Cup winner Kylian Mbappe. You've got some Kylian Mbappe news, have you not?
Yes, a little bit of news on Kylian Mbappe.
Okay.
The latest news on coming out of France is that Kylian Mbappe, apart from his fantastic performance last night in the Champions League against Bayern Munich, which we was absolutely outstanding, wasn't he? And the fact that there's a good chance they could win the Champions League this year, he still wants to leave. He still wants to move on. And not only has that came from France, that came out of Spain from our source as well. If they do go to Real Madrid, you're thinking of the money. I've been told that they're going to be selling a lot of players in the summer, just to Jude they can get him. Because again, like we were saying with Haaland and Kane, if Mbappe goes to Real Madrid, that's a game changer for Real Madrid. So they will pull out every stop. Do
you think that starts a domino effect?
That's where your domino effect starts, doesn't it? That's where the fun begins. That's where the fun begins.
Yeah, once one big signing goes, then you've got to replace him. Then everyone else starts taking notice and thinks, okay, we need to step up our game. So they make a big signing.
Yeah.
But
they've got to show their players first.
And there's a lot to choose from, though. I mean, Real Madrid are not exactly short of talent or assets to sell.
Yeah, I mean, you got Vasquez, who seems that like he's more or less he's moving on. Varane looks like Ramos. Hazard could possibly leave. Odegaard could possibly go to Arsenal. There's
Vinicius Junior. Is he feeling them now?
But even if you look at the obvious of Vasquez, I don't know, he's a free transfer. If you look at Vasquez, you look at Varane, you look at Ramos, you look possibly at Hazard and Odegaard. That's Mbappe, isn't it? More or less, you're not far off Mbappe.
And you think about the wages on that's another player. The wages of them players combined is probably the price of another player easily.
Yeah. So he's still. It's still, from what I'm hearing, is that the Real Madrid Mbappe thing is still on.
It's not going away. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You got a bit more PSG, have you?
The little bit of PSG news is the fact, again, from our sources in Spain, is that if the Mbappe does happen, that will pave a way for Lionel Messi to go to PSG to play with Neymar. And I think that, as well as the person who told me, that PSG are looking like they've got more of a package now.
Yeah.
That they would offer Lionel Messi. They've got Pochettino. They got you see the players last night they had about me running through them. Hernandez at the no, that was Bayern Munich, wasn't he? But the players,
he's unreal. Sorry, he's unreal.
I need to do a program on Hernandez at some point because I need to go crazy on that man. He's like you said, he's absolutely incredible. But we can't. He's Bayern Munich, and we've got nothing to talk about him at the moment.
Yeah.
But the package that Lionel Messi would get to go to PSG would be a lot better than the package that he would have to go to stay at Barcelona.
All right. Sweet. Thank you very much for that, Steve. As we said last week, Everton and Italy striker Moise Kean, who's on loan at Paris Saint-Germain, is Potentially, he's leaving. He's leaving.
Yeah.
Do we know if it's going to be Juventus or PSG? More likely,
PSG.
I mean, PSG.
Yeah.
PSG. Because there's a
like
few rumours
PSG.
that are flying about that Juventus he might return to Juventus. I mean, that's just probably just an easy catch. Arsenal made an approach for Fluminese's 19-year-old midfielder Matthias Martinelli, who's also wanted by Manchester United. That was in a Brazilian tabloid Galileo Espirito. Jerome, you had a little look at him. What's he saying?
Yeah. So not 19th century midfielder. He only actually made his first team debut in December. So he's only actually played like 11 senior games for them. He's been with the club since 2017, and he's not really known for like being a goal scorer. But considering he's only just made his debut, he scored like 3 goals in 11 games. Now his nickname, he's got a nice nickname. Matthias Martinelli, and they've nicknamed him Zavinelli.
Zavinelli
for the way he plays. So he is like their playmaker from the base of midfield. Can dictate the tempo. He's also been compared to Jorginho at Chelsea, but maybe someone that's a bit quicker in terms of popping the passes off, keeping the ball. And you can see he's got that bit of like Brazilian magic about him as well. He's not just just pass. He'll take someone on, dribble past someone.
I mean, he wouldn't be Brazilian if he didn't have that in him, would he?
No, rolls his foot over the ball nicely.
Yeah, you've got to have a bit of that.
Yeah, but it'd be as I say, I guess similar to other Martinelli of Arsenal. Like hasn't played a lot of first team football, but he's obviously made a big impression in the time that he's been, in the appearances he's made. Yeah, and he looks, when you watch him play, he looks very comfortable in the team. Like, he's not rushing, or he's just he looks like a very nice player
for a 19-year-old, and he's playing with Manchester City's soon to be. Is it Kiki who's joining Manchester City? He's playing with him currently.
Yeah.
So
I think we mentioned that on the show about 3 months ago.
No, we did. We did. I didn't feel like we needed to bring that one up. That was already done. Dortmund CEO Hans-Joachim Wackets has come out and said that no club would be able to afford Jadon Sancho this summer.
Yeah.
Who's actually after Jadon Sancho anymore? I feel like everyone's given up. Man United have given up, haven't they?
Yeah, no.
Unless that price tag comes down. They're already looking at other targets.
But they're looking in other areas as well.
Yes. Which is a nice crowbar into you there, Steve. Manchester United. What are they looking at? You got a bit of transfer news on Man United?
Got a little bit of transfer news on Man United. The main piece of transfer becoming Man United this week is that Eric Bailey, Nathan's favourite centre back, will not be at Manchester United next season. He's been offered a new contract, and it's said that he will turn it down because he's just not getting game time. Solskjaer seemed to put Lindelof and Maguire as his main centre back, and Bailey's not happy. I can't work out why he ain't playing. Nathan obviously as well. I can't work out why he ain't playing, and Eric Bailey himself can't work out why he's playing. So he will be moving on in the summer, and their main replacement that they want is Raphael Varane. He's the one that they want to bring in to replace him. So, I don't know why. He's a good player.
It's well, you can only play 2 centre backs. Well, you can't. You can play as many as you want, but the majority of clubs play with 2 centre backs. So one's always going to miss out. And when you're at a club like Man United, you can't really afford to bring in players who are essentially backup players. You don't bring in backup players. They're players that have you've brought in better players, and then players maybe move down a bit into as more squad players. Bailey came in as a main player, and then with Lindelof, and then they brought in Harry Maguire. So one of them was always going to miss out. The fact that Bailey's had a fair few injuries, which has probably hampered him getting a bit of consistency in the team.
Doesn't help, does it?
It's one of them.
I mean, it's a shame. I mean, he was actually Jose Mourinho's very first signing when he came to the club. The first player he said that he wanted to start was Eric Bailey.
Yeah.
So whether you hate or not hate Jose Mourinho, he knows a player,
and especially a defender.
Yeah, and they bought him from Villarreal, didn't they, for 30 million pound? But it's just a lack of game time. He's too good to not be given game time.
Yeah,
as you said, his injuries as well. I mean, that obviously has not helped. So I think it's a shame because I think he's a very very good player. As I said, and also they want Varane, so he's just not in. I think they'll just want him as a contract, and the conversation must have gone, yeah, you can stay, but you're not. You're just one of the squad players. Which he's obviously. I think Solskjaer knew he would have said no. So it doesn't. It doesn't surprise me. The other player Manchester United are interested in is Neto. He will come up again more in the Wolves conversation that we're going to have, and he's got COVID at the moment, or he's just replaced from COVID or got recovered, one of the two. And they're also after from Sporting Lisbon, Pedro Gonzalez, or I can't pronounce it very well. So there's a few players, but there's always going to be a lot of players linked with Man United. These players are firm links because I've been told, obviously, by a very good contact. But it gets to this time in the season now where, clubs are going to be looking, for 4 players in the positions that they need.
Yeah. All right. Another bit of Man United news. Might as well continue it. Bruno Fernandes has said that since he's joined Man United, manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has taken his game to new levels, and he would be happy to spend the rest of his career in the Premier League. And
rumours.
Yeah, it's easy though. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's an easy target because just many things, which is just stupid, but he's an easy target because he doesn't come across as like aggressive. So people would say it's a soft touch without even knowing. And this is what people do. They make assumptions on people from the little that they see. So Man United and Leeds are the latest clubs to join the race for 18-year-old centre-back Kyron Gordon from Sheffield United. Everton and Liverpool also been linked with the English teenager. Jerome, how good's this kid?
Yeah, well, that is the question. I mean, he's only 18 and he's got a year left on his contract at Sheffield United. And he has actually been an unused sub a few times this season. I guess you can only really sort of rate him on how he's played for like the youth team at Sheffield United. And the team that he's been a part of, or the defence he's been a part of, they've only conceded 19 goals in 20 games.
Wow.
And we've got to remember, for Sheffield United, they have produced a couple of decent defenders over the years. Kyle Walker came through them, Maguire came through them.
Yeah.
This Kyron Gordon, he's very calm and composed on the ball for a centre-back. Happy to spray passes to like either wings, but can also come out of defence with the ball. But yeah, it'd be good to see him tested in, I guess, in senior games perhaps. But one that's, like you said, a lot of clubs are looking at him. So he's obviously impressed at the level he's played at so far.
Yeah. All right. Before we go to the Wolves one, there was a bit of Wolves transfer news from the Football Insider. Wolves are poised to make a move in the summer for Valencia forward Gonzalo Guedes, and are considering offering Patrick Country as part of the loan to the Spanish club, as part exchange. Jerome, how good's this player? Does he look like he could handle it in the Premier League?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, he's had 2 very big moves in his career so far. So he's at Valencia. He's been there since 2018. But he started his career in Portugal at Benfica, and
Okay.
PSG bought him for about 30 million euros.
Oh.
I didn't stay there for very long. It didn't really work out there, and then Valencia bought him for 40. And to be, he's had two very big.
It's like Dominic Solanke, isn't it?
Yeah,
God,
he's a full Portuguese international. He's played quite a few times for Portugal, but what they're saying about him is that despite these big moves, he hasn't really reached his sort of full potential.
Yeah.
There's a few similarities the way he plays between him and Neto of Wolves. For me, Neto's a better player, a bit more direct, but this Goncalo Guedes is very, very nice dribbler, keeps the ball very close to his feet. A really unselfish player. Like he'll lay the ball off to someone if he's in front of goal and someone's to the side of him. He'll happily lay it onto them. He's a bit decent player, but not on the same level for me as Neto. He plays in a similar position, either on the wing or like attacking midfield. Decent, but not that sort of level for me.
Yeah, and we'll get onto that. It may sort of shed some light onto why they're potentially after a player who's of a very similar ilk to Neto, especially when they've got players like Daniel Podence and Arma Traore and a whole host of sort of not untapped gems, but players that these other clubs obviously didn't take a liking to, which is why they end up at Wolves. Steve, we're going to go into the main part of the show, which is Wolves. You've got some information on Wolves with regards to transfer finances, and maybe you have to get rid of some of their biggest stars.
Yeah, there's it's strange because quite a few Wolves fans are unaware of the trouble that Wolves are in, the club's in. Their figures have been released just only a couple of weeks ago. We pretty much went through it a little while ago and explained it, but I'll quickly run through it again because there's obviously a lot of people that haven't seen it, and it will connect to what I'll be saying afterwards. What's that? Wolves released a loss of 39.2 million in the last few months, which is mainly caused by COVID. This was the club's fourth loss under their parent company Fosun, who Fosun were probably wishing that they never did what they did, but that's sad because a lot of people love Wolves. What the loss is because of the obvious. It's because of TV rights. It's because of game revenue, match day tours, catering, etc. Onwards and onwards, and as a result, the revenue was reduced to 132.6 million. But they carried on buying players. And over the last few years, players like Jimenez, Dendoncker, Neto, Catroni, Jordao, Matheson, Semedo, Silva, it goes on, etc., have came to the club. And what Fosun did, they pumped another 100 million into the club, which Wolves now obviously owe to their parent company, which amounted to, with the 39 million that due to the COVID losses, 127.2 million. But wait for it. In total, they owe Fosun, and you can go on their accounts and look, and it's there. They owe Fosun £284 million to their creditors,
and they're asking for the money back now.
And they want it now, and that's why you're going to hear what I'm going to be going through next.
All right.
So yeah, Wolves fans, you can find that on the internet. It's there for everybody. It's things that has to be made clear to everybody. So yeah, you can easily find that. Going back to the where most Wolves fans all they care about is on the pitch. It's just players that being offered all over the place. I mean, let's start off with Ruben Neves. I mean, they want to get around 50 million or as close to that sum as possible, which I think's fair enough.
But I'm just trying to work out how old he is. Oh, 24. That's all right.
24. Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah.
Because they need to get as close to that amount as possible. Mm-hmm. Basically here or around that
mm-hmm.
amount.
Yeah.
But obviously they don't want to sell. But at this time now, they've not got any choices there. This has to be paid. I mean, Jose Mourinho is a massive fan, and he has come out publicly and said he would like to have him at Spurs.
Yeah.
What's happened with him? I mean, when you go back to his club before, he tried to get him at Manchester United.
Yeah, he did.
He did try and get him at Manchester
when he was
United.
in the Championship. Yeah.
And he also tried to sign him when he was at Chelsea.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So he's now there's rumours that he wants to come with Spurs. Well, it's not. It's a bit more than rumours. He's his representatives have had early talks with Daniel Levy.
All
but
right,
it's only,
nice.
But Wolves saying, you're in a bit of a catch-22 situation here because you don't want to sell him, but at the same time you need to get his debt down. Quickly, because you could just fall from rapidly if you don't.
Well, the problem is, look, if you look at where Wolves have kind of slipped to in around the league, no one feels like they're going to get relegated. You just never know in this league, yeah.
No.
And if they were to, which they I don't think they will. If they were to get relegated, they would be in serious trouble. Serious trouble if they got relegated with the squad they've got. A real problem, because there'd be players on wages, and there'd be players in that team that they wouldn't be able to get rid of because people would be trying to get good deals, and they would be reluctant to give them deals because all players have just been signed up on a new contract, and they can't get them off the books because they're just happy to stay and earn 80 grand a week, and that's the problem. You have to be very careful.
Yeah, and with as I say, with Jose, I mean, he wanted him when he was at Chelsea, and he was. It's funny because when he was at Chelsea, he wanted him to be the one to replace Matic. And when he was at Man United, he was seen to be the one who wanted him to replace Matic. But they obviously that never happened. So that's what's happening with Ruben Neves at the moment. But then you move on to Traore and Neto. Both could leave, move on in the summer. Liverpool are massive admirers of Traore. I mean,
always a link. Always a link.
Yeah, Klopp has been vocal in his admiration of him.
Yeah,
and you can see him there, can't you, on that right?
Yeah, you can.
Especially if Zaha leaves, and it's and he goes. But even if he doesn't leave, that front three needs freshening up. So
yeah, no, it does.
He's such a strange player, that Traore, because at times he looks like unstoppable,
a beast.
But he might go 20 games without doing anything. Like he's an enigma.
Yeah. I remember watching him a couple of years ago. I think Aston Villa had him, and I thought to myself, this player's got something in him, but he's not consistent enough. He tries too much. He's a bit too greedy. He's not. He doesn't think about the game properly. It just feels like he's very strong and very quick. And then all of a sudden, it was like he'd have like Jerome said, he'd have a few good games, and then go missing for a few. But this time, everyone was raving about him. Yeah. Everyone was raving about him. How if he goes into this club or if he was this club, and then he started to get a consistent run with Wolves, where he was kind of playing week in, week out. but that's tailed off massively now, and he's not getting games all the time.
Don't you think that there's just he's a right winger? He's a strange right winger, isn't he? But he is a winger. You know, he's so powerful, he's so quick, he's so fast, and he's not your your typical right winger, is he? He's a strange player.
If he played against Arsenal every week, he'd be world class.
Yeah.
But he doesn't.
No,
he's got so much about him. He's got so much like ability that he could make such a difference in terms of like his numbers could be massive, couldn't they? For the ability he's got, he could have such an impact in terms of goals and assists, but just hasn't seemed to.
Yeah. As for Pedro Neto, how can I explain what Pedro Neto is? Do you know what he reminds me of? He's like the cost-effective version of Sancho and Grealish. Is it? He's like
the thing. What I've noticed about Pedro Neto, it feels like he's fully adapted to the Premier League now. It feels like he's settled now because every game he plays, he looks like a danger. Whereas before, it was a bit like, "Who's this kid? Oh, he looks good. He doesn't play much, but he looks good." Now it's like he's playing. It's one of them players like, "Oh, Neto's playing."
Definitely.
Like he's a danger. I don't think it's too far from that move.
No, but we know already that he's had talks with Manchester United. But I keep hearing from the sources that the agent ain't happy for him to go to some Manchester United and wants him to go to another club. So I'll have to find out a bit more about that and why. But the thing is, we'll go to this bit quickly. The thing is with Pedro Neto now, he's out for 6 months with an injury. So for me, that obviously
rules it out.
Would change a few things. I mean, he needs surgery on his kneecap, and sadly, it means he misses the Euros. And what with Ruben Neves, I mean, he's been tested for COVID. I mean, they've got Fernando Marseille. I mean, he's also had COVID, but he's getting better. And on top of that, I mean, if you want to rub salt into the wounds, you've got Johnny, who will be having surgery this week on his ACL, and he will be out for another 8 months, and he'll also miss the Euros. So it's really nothing.
So Portugal were basically buggered.
Yeah.
Because when Wolves have injury problems, Portugal will have injury problems.
Yeah. I mean, on the bright side, just to finish, if you're looking at it from a Premier's point of view, they've got nothing to play for, have they?
No, and I've just looked at where they are in the league.
They're not going down. They're not going.
No, they're 12th, 38 points. They're 8 points ahead of Fulham, who are sitting in 18th. They've had a real drop in form. But
the thing is, if the board Wolves said, right, we're going to get rid of these players, they can't. So how much more trouble is that going to put them in?
They've got to start. They've got to take offers. I mean,
but who's going to buy him?
You're saying that
Neves, maybe.
His representatives don't want him to go. Neto doesn't want. His representatives don't want him to go to Man United. Is that his representatives? Is that Neto? I suppose it would be a bit of his agent. His agent has said. His agent has said he doesn't want him to go to Man United. What's Neto saying on that?
Don't know.
Is there any particular reason?
All I know, his agent just don't want him to go to Manchester United. No one. I mean, I'd like to find out who his agent is, whether there's like a connection.
Yeah. I mean, where's the other options? I mean, there's been plenty of clubs that are being for Neto. Is there any other links? Is there any other clubs that have been sniffing around him?
No, not that I know of. I mean, there's bound to be plenty, isn't there? There's bound to be. I mean, it's not going to be long before, because as I say, he is okay, he's coming back from COVID. He's probably the only one that they can move on.
Yeah.
But obviously, Ruben Neves is not going to be going nowhere. I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, and Traore. I mean, if he's not getting game time, he's not signing a new contract. I mean, they've got he's got to be one they're offloading.
What Klopp said, he said he wants replacements for. Again, he's very vocal for Chamberlain and Shaqiri, who will be leaving in the summer. And it makes sense again, doesn't it? It just fits again. Traore coming in, not a starter. It doesn't sound really.
No, it doesn't. But I mean, if you're at Liverpool, you kind of buying into the project that if you can get that shirt, you may keep it, but it's about the team thing, isn't it? It's that team camaraderie that he sort of plays on.
Apart from that, Wolves, you're all right.
All right, yeah. Well, just £389 million in debt, and they want the money soon. So
they're a great club. So
very good club. I mean, they've brought something to the Premier League. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're a Premiership club. Club.
Yeah, definitely. You had some more Liverpool news while we're in Liverpool. Is it Jack Grealish? There was a little bit of a link to.
Yeah, there's a little link to Jack Grealish. Before then, it's just get this. Canate, we all know he's a clear target for Liverpool.
Yeah,
they're now very close to coming to agreement. This is, from what I've been told, this is done. This is done. This is dusted. It's just a matter of and I think Fabrizio earlier on mentioned it. That it was more or less done and dusted. The thing is, we had it yesterday, so I'm really annoyed. But there you go, we're all in the same game. So, but so they're coming to agreement. What's made the deal better though is that they're going to be playing even less than what they thought, because it's the release clause ain't as much as what Liverpool thought it was going to be. I mean, it was around 40 million euro, but now it's down to 32 million. So Liverpool have had a good result there. And now what's going to happen now? We wait to see if Liverpool also activate Odsonne Kabak's release clause. We have to wait and see what happens there. And with Joe Gomez, he's just returned to jogging and doing a bit of ball work after damaging his knee tendon.
He's not going to the Euros.
He's not.
No way. If he's just jogging and he's had surgery on that knee, there's nowhere near. Yeah, I'm just going back to our thingy the other week when we was picking the England team and we was wondering whether Joe Gomez is going to be there. But no.
He's only just started jogging and doing some ball work, and so he's with that. I think if Joe Gomez wasn't in the state he was in, maybe maybe they wouldn't have. Maybe they wouldn't have released his Odsonne Kabak's release clause, because I told it that they wasn't. But it really could. For me, I think they should.
I think he's done better than what they expected, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, and Matip and Davis look pretty much certainties to move on. As I said, with Chamberlain and Shaqiri. So Liverpool got a little, few things going there. They're not interested in Camavinga no more. There was talk of Camavinga replacing Wijnaldum, but that's not happening. But one thing he won't be doing, he won't be signing a new contract with Rennes this season.
Okay.
Bayern, Real Madrid, Manchester United, all are sort of in for him. Bayern just recently, I mean, it was Real Madrid who were the main people that looked like they wanted him.
Where does he fit in at Bayern? Stop taking these players. Where does he fit in? Just leave him alone. They've just got Joshua Masua, where his name is, and Germany have taken him, although he was born in Germany.
But they want to sell him. They want him to sell him. They're not giving him a contract. They want to sell him because in 2022 he'll go for a free.
Yeah.
So what they want to do, they want to get rid of him this year. But as young as he is, he still has to agree to go. You know,
true. There was talk earlier in the summer, previous summer, that they were willing to take around 40 million mark for him. And now this kind of rings a bit true as to why.
Yeah. Did you take a look at him, Gerard? Did you take a look at him?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did look at him, and I think after looking at him, it was obvious this guy's a class player. I just remember thinking to myself, like, he's going to go to a top team.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, he's
if 40 million is one of the figure that's been banded around, then you know what can you get 40 million these days?
Yeah, exactly.
On transfer market, he's down as a defensive midfield player. I thought you were going to laugh.
He's an all. That's a very easy. He's an all-round midfielder. I'd say he's all-round. He's got an excellent range of passing. His work rate's excellent. Could tackle. He's just a midfielder. We don't have him anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know that's what Roy Keane said it the other day, where he was like, "He's just a centre midfielder." Like, stop adding bells and whistles to these players, like, because we used to have to do it all. We talk about box to box and defensive and attacking. A midfielder used to have to do it all: tackle, pass, score goals. That's what they were, central midfield. And this is that.
Yeah. I've just thought of something, and I know Jerome likes this player, so I'm going to ask him. But to compare the two, you probably would never have done a year ago. The way you've just explained that is the same type of player as Camavinga and Declan Rice. Forget the Fiore of Camavinga, and forget Camavinga. The way you've just explained him there, Kears, is like he was like very similar to Declan Rice in age, in what he does.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say is I think Declan Rice has maybe been not pigeonholed, but has been pushed into that defensive midfield role. Whereas I think in France, Camavinga's been given that freedom to just play a bit more. I don't know whether Declan Rice has, but Declan Rice's range of passing is excellent, and I think it's very. It goes sort of unnoticed how good Declan Rice's passing is. But as with regards to Camavinga, I think in 5 years' time, I think we'll be having two different conversations about both.
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
Yeah.
And I think Camavinga's would be more of the, is he at Real Madrid? If not, why is he not at Real Madrid? And how good is this kid? How good can he be? I think Declan Rice, he's a very good player. Probably underrated because he is English in a weird way, although we do hype up our players. I rate Declan Rice, but I don't think he's a Camavinga.
I think the way teams play now with these like double pivots with like sort of two central midfielders, I think Declan Rice next to Camavinga would be a very good partnership.
Well, good partnership, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Because Camavinga's got that little bit extra to his game. I think Declan Rice is brilliant at what he does, but it's like a bit like Jordan Henderson. Like what you see is what you get with Rice. Like solid player.
Yes.
Won't let you down. Will do a brilliant job for you. They're different types of central midfield players, I think.
That's a dream. That's a dream centre midfield partnership, isn't it?
I don't think it's going to be happening at West Ham, though. I don't think it's going to be happening at West Ham. I'm sure they would want it to.
You never know; they might get Champions League football.
Cool, yeah.
Very true. It's hurting my chest. You just done Camavinga. Everton interested in signing England under 21 right back Max Aarons from Norwich. We've got the guy from, who is it? We've got Norwich coming on Sunday, have we not?
We have, yeah, I've had confirmation. We got Michael Bailey.
Michael Bailey from the Athletic.
From the Athletic, yep. So
Yep.
he should be a very happy man.
Yes, he should be, because they're coming back into the Premier League. And potentially Everton are interested in a long-term replacement for Seamus Coleman in Max Aarons. A good player, I think, slightly overrated. But we'll see this next time in the Premier League how good he is. There's also some Everton news on Danny Ings, I think you were saying, Steve.
Yes. I've been talking today to another correspondent today, who I've just who got in contact the last day, I suppose, and tried to get him a quick little bit of information from him before we come on tonight. And Danny Ings will be having talks with Everton in the summer. They've already had preliminaries. But Carlo Ancelotti is very interested. So
I mean, Everton are making some decent moves.
Does that fit? Does he fit in there?
I mean, could you imagine that next to Dominic Calvert-Lewin? I think that I can't say that wouldn't work. I think that would work.
And would you push Richarlison more farther out on the wing right?
I mean, I'm feeling a bit sick here, because Everton's team is looking phenomenal. I mean, we're not talking about Premier League winners, but we're talking about a serious team to push into Europe. If you're going to add Danny Ings to that, well, it's teams like that are starting to move away from teams like Arsenal.
Well, when you sort of like, what we've got. Well, I think what we're going to go into a minute about Arsenal. It's just like Arsenal going nowhere. They seem to be stuck in the same place. But then you see Everton, teams like that, Leicester, just overtaking. Yeah,
it just seems to be that these teams are getting linked to a lot of players, which is kind of in not all of them, but there's a few players that are getting linked to these clubs, which are in the bracket that Arsenal should maybe be looking at, because I just don't know. I just don't know where Arsenal are going to get their players from. If they don't get Europe, they're in serious danger of having to seriously look to the next level down of players. And whether that player is going to get you back in the Champions League or even in Europe, I do not know. That's the worry.
This tells you. I mean, are we going on to Arsenal?
Wait, just before we do that. We're going to this one, then we're going to Arsenal. All right. Yeah. Fulham, Monaco, and Genk are interested in Chelsea's 22-year-old English striker Ike Ugbo, who's currently on loan at Cercle Bruges. Jerome, what's this youngster looking like?
Yeah, he's had a really good season. This player Ike Ugbo. So He's been at Chelsea. His sort of whole youth career was at Chelsea, and he played in youth teams with the likes of actually Declan Rice, Mason Mount, Reece James, also Eddie Nketiah, who was at Chelsea as a youth player. And I'm sure you remember that the Chelsea youth teams, they've always been like really strong. So he's won like the FA Youth Cup with them, the UEFA Youth Cup they won, but Chelsea have got a reputation, haven't they, of sending out loads of players on loan. Yeah. So this is basically his fifth loan spell since 2017. He's played in England, a couple of teams, and he's also played abroad. This season, I mean, he got into double figures last season for a team that he played for in Holland, and now he's at Club Brugge. He scored 15 goals in 31 league games so far. And when he was at Chelsea, he was sort of the equal, like rated as equally as Tammy Abrahams in terms of like quality as a striker.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, he was rated as like they were on the same sort of level.
Yeah.
I think Tammy Abrahams is a few months older than him. But yeah, he's got brilliant sort of movement and awareness and alertness in and around the box. And most of his goals are your typical strikers' goals, like maybe 6-yard box, headers, first-time finishes. Yeah, he's had a decent season, like no goal.
I mean, if he's been if he's
hard to get a chance at Chelsea, isn't it? I suppose?
Yeah, I was going to say if he's been sort of put on the same sort of level or same sort of ratings as Tammy Abraham, it's no surprise they've tried to keep hold of him just to see what he can do, to see how good he is out on loan abroad. But yeah. Chelsea, this is a Chelsea thing. I mean, can't really knock it because they'll probably end up getting 25 mil for this kid who's never played a game for Chelsea when they do finally sell him. So yeah, I mean they're winning really, aren't they?
That's it.
All right. Now on to Arsenal. There's no other way of putting it. Steve, what have you got for us to pretty much wind down the show with, or wind me up with?
Just go to the Club Brugge, just going back to Jerome's player just for a second, just so I can just put that up for another 5 minutes. They've got some players, Club Brugge. They've really got some players coming through, some youngsters.
Go on.
Yeah, no, I'm not. That's just to give you a little bit more things before I go to Arsenal.
Stress. I'm stressing out already. Go on.
Right. Well, what we're told is that Arsenal will have to move more players out yet again in the summer. This ain't rocket science. I mean, any Arsenal fan, can sit down and should be able to work this out anyway without having to hear it from anybody.
Yeah, we've been lied to again. Sorry, we've been lied to again. To again. How are you going to tell me that the manager's got the full backing when at the same point as last year, we're starting to already hear murmurs of players need to go out before they come in?
Yeah. How do you know what I was going to say?
Well, because you started off with players need to go out. There's only one way that's going.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I did say a little while ago, I don't know if you remember, I did say, I don't know, I asked the question, will Arsenal have to do the same thing again this summer? Well, if they want to get the players that they want, they're going to have to. If players of likes of Odegaard and Bissouma, an established striker, because that's what's needed, a right back. I mean, if you was to believe all the deals are done and dusted, and the different players in different positions that we need. Anyway, let's forget that. Just for that little selection of players right there, that's going to cost Arsenal about £200 million. I mean, Arsenal, get a pen out and just write down 200 million.
No, my hands stopped me from writing it because it's something we never spend.
Right. So the fact that Odegaard's come in and Bissouma's come in apparently, and this super right back's come in, and another midfield player's come in. This is going to cost about 200 million. The players that are mentioned, right? So that's the estimated price of them players. So the first two that keep getting mentioned that are going to leave is Alexander Lacazette and Hector Bellerin, which in my opinion would probably fetch you about 60 million. So that's Odegaard, right? So where's the rest?
I mean, 60 million, but we're going to have to work for that 60 million.
Yeah,
because Lacazette's got a year left in his contract, and Bellerin.
Mm-hmm. So where's the West coming from? So where's the rest of the 140 million coming from? Yeah, maybe Stan, will give Arteta a nice little hefty war chest.
Yeah, 50 million is a hefty war chest for Arsenal.
So, but according to these players that we want, they're going to come. They cost about 140. Aubameyang's not leaving. Right? Are you kidding me? The only way he will leave is if he goes to somewhere like China.
Who can afford to pay a 31-year-old 300 grand a week?
Nobody.
Who is out there that's looking at serious clubs out there are not looking at Aubameyang? I'm sorry, they're not because they're looking at younger players.
No, Williams on this massive contract, he's not leaving. He's on massive money, he's not leaving. Pepe, they hadn't even started to pay his fee off in the first place yet. Right, so because they didn't pay, as many people say, we had 72 million for Pepe. No, we paid about 20 million put down for Pepe. Now we're paying a £5 a week.
Yeah.
Right. But then you go back to Bellerin. I've been told today from a Barcelona source that he is not going to Barcelona.
Yeah.
And he was using 4-letter words when I actually asked him about his Bellerin, any chance of him going to Barcelona. He said to me, "You're joking." He said, "We've got Sergio Dest. We've also got Oscar Minenza." He said, "From my point of view," he said that Serie A has been ruled out for Bellerin because he just hasn't got the aptitude to play in an Italian league.
What?
And PSG are more likely. But looking at PSG last night, do you really think he'll get in that side?
And do you think they're going to pay 30 million for Bellerin to sit on the bench? Because you're not going to get in. You're not going to get Bellerin on cheap wages because he comes with a persona. He comes with the full works. He's not just a football player, is he? He's got the fashion. He's got the personality. You're buying a product a bit more than just a football player. So it's not going to come cheap.
So it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And the only reason why I've said this, I've not said this to pee off Arsenal fans. I'm an Arsenal fan myself. Right? Arsenal fans have got to get realistic and got to get some reality in their heads and stop reading rubbish and just look at the facts and look at the money. Yes, if Stan Kroenke was to give us a load of money, like I've been saying for the last 5 years, different. But he hasn't. Hence why, like I've always said, we're just going backwards and backwards and backwards while the other clubs are going that way and that way and that way.
Go on.
And that's always what I've said, that the club's been run so bad, we haven't been given the right money. It's all right saying, it's okay saying, right, we spent the same amount as Man United, right? I'm just 300 million. This is just a number off the head.
Oh, that's worrying.
No. It's
don't do that to me, Steve. Don't do that to me.
It's just
I thought you was being serious.
No. It's
an example.
No, it's an example of numbers.
Because
there's a point to it. Manchester United, right? Say they've spent 300 million, right? And what we're saying, Arsenal spent the same or close to it. This is what we're hearing. So they've spent 300 million. We'll just say he had give us 300 million, right? Arsenal needs 600 million.
Yeah.
Right? So that 300 million and 300 million, people go, yeah, well, we've had the same amount. He's backed him. It's crap. But it hasn't. For Coventry City to win the Premiership and the Champions League, you need to give them £1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting it doesn't mean because you've given the same amount to the same amount. Some clubs need more.
Yeah, Arsenal definitely need more because they've not been spending that to keep up with these other teams. I mean, Man United spent upwards of 500, 600 million just to stay in and around the top four, where Arsenal haven't spent that. And Arsenal is a club right now that you have to throw money at. You have to. It's not a case of playing out of this. We've done that previously, and now we've got a team which is not. It's not the same. It's not the right balance. It's not got the right level of players in it. It needs changing massively. I was going to say about Basuma. It's all well and good liking the look of this player, but we've also got to remember that sitting in our central midfield is Thomas Partey, and once a year, African Nations Cup comes, and you're losing your central midfield pairing if you buy Basuma. So. Has people been thinking about this when we talk about Basuma?
Of course they ain't.
It's not something. I don't think people think, oh, that'll be nice, but they're not really thinking far ahead with regards to the impact that it would have when you lose that player. I mean, Liverpool have that issue when they lose Mane and Salah. Would Arsenal be able to lose their midfield and still be able to function? Not the same way Liverpool have, and Liverpool struggle with it as well. So I don't even know about Basuma anyway. I do rate him, but I don't know whether Arsenal are going to have their central midfield pairing as two.
It's all about timing, isn't it? It's about timing. When you need the players at the right time.
Yeah.
When you spend at night time, you might not give your manager money for 3 years on the spin, but it might get to the 4th year and you need it, and then you need to give it. But we've never been in that. What do you think, Jerome?
In terms of what?
Do you think that we're going to, be given this FD war chest? And do you think all these players that we mentioned, that have been told that are coming, will they come?
No, I think Arsenal will just they'll spend whatever they bring in from transfer fees, maybe a tiny bit extra, but they're not going to sell £50 million worth of player and then spend 150. They're not going to. No. So no, there's no war chest. It's just whoever they sell, they can replace with. It's all about selling intelligently this summer, and getting rid of players that if you're not sure about them, get rid of them and get the money, and then buy someone that you are sure about. That's my view on it.
Would you still get rid of Lacazette, Jerome?
Yeah, get rid of Lacazette all day long. Yeah, Lacazette. Yeah. I'd get rid of Pepe as well. To be fair, I don't know, but he's too inconsistent. I think if you've got a player that's too inconsistent and you can get money for them, and buy a player that's going to be more consistent.
I just don't know who's going to fork out the money that Arsenal would need to recoup any of that fee.
What they have to do basically, Arsenal, is just cut their losses. Like, just understand you're going to make a loss on. When you sell Lacazette, you're making a loss on him. Pepe, you're going to make a loss. Just make your losses. Just get the money in.
The thing is,
buy players that you want.
What Arsenal can't really afford to do is take a complete loss on Lacazette. You can't take a complete loss on Lacazette.
They'll still get 20-25 million for him.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't keep him and let him go on a free. You've got to sell him this summer. You can't keep him. Even if you offer him an extension, you're not going to get any money for him after that extension. No one's going to buy him after this one season. You're keeping him till the end of his contract, and you can't do that. I've said it before. I said it too many times. I worry for Arsenal because I don't believe that the chairman, the owner, knows what he's doing. I don't believe he has any clue about Premier League football. I think his son's talks the talk, but doesn't really follow through with regards to everything that's needed for the club. If you talk about these guys, they want to be hands off and leave it to the director of football, whatever, well, then get in the person who's going to make sure that the club's run well, because it's not being run well, and it's been a steady decline for the last 12 years. And anyone that can't see that's blind. Like, they're blind. If you can't see that since Dan Kroenke's come in, there has been a steady decline with the club, then I don't know what you're watching. I just don't know. We can talk about the Emirates Stadium. We can talk about Wenger. We can talk about Emery. We can talk about Ralstonelli, Arteta, Ljungberg. But you're only going to get in someone else, and it's going to be the same thing.
Do you know what I think the biggest mistake was? I was actually thinking of it today. You've just more or less mentioned it just then. I think the biggest mistake, too early, we went to the Emirates.
Massive probably was, yeah.
Massive mistake. Mistake.
Yeah.
Massive.
We could have had seasons of being the top dogs. Yeah. Continually winning it. But the Emirates, it killed us. But as you said, we could speak about the Emirates, but why is the owner not now putting his money in his pocket in what was meant to be the revenue gained by moving to the Emirates? Why are we not spending that money that we were meant to be getting from being this big, massive club for the reason of moving to the Emirates? We're not. Yeah. We're behaving like we've got to make sure we've got something in the background just in case. Well, that's not why we moved there, wasn't it? We moved there to have financial freedom so we can do what we wanted, so we can be these big clubs. Because we were doing all right where we were. We were doing all right where we were. We were bringing in the players that didn't, like the players we knew were good, but didn't quite do it in the last. They made the wrong move, so we saved them. We were the saviour club, and we turned them into world superstars again. We brought them back up, but. Yeah, I just think that the guy's seen an opportunity to get into a club that's not quite expanded out, and I think that he's taken advantage of that, and he just feeds rubbish.
The big difference is, like, say, if you compare Kroenke to Abramovich, Kroenke bought Arsenal to make money, and Abramovich bought Chelsea to win, and that's the difference.
Yeah,
he's
and we can talk.
He's a fan, isn't he? He's a fan.
Yeah,
He's a Chelsea fan, Jerome.
Exactly, and we could talk about what Abramovich slowed up a bit, and he said that you need to stay, but that's because he spent billions. That's because he spent silly amounts and turned that team into one of the best teams in the world. Chelsea were unbelievable. They're a team that made history. They're a team that everyone will now remember. Chelsea were not on that map. Anyone that wants to argue with me on that, they weren't on that map. Chelsea were a team back then, bits and spots, but now Chelsea are fully on the map. They are fully on the map, and they're staying there. They're not going anywhere because they had history. I'm not saying they didn't have history. I'm not trying to knock their club, but they're a Champions League winning club. They've got players that you can always look back now and be like, oh, Didier Drogba. They've got so many, Makelele, whoever. They've got players, John Terry, that you can always look back and go, that player, and they had him all in one era. Abramovich has made Chelsea that club now. Now, what has Stan Kroenke done for Arsenal? Absolutely nothing. He's done nothing for Arsenal. Absolutely nothing for Arsenal.
Stadium. His nice little shiny stadium.
So what?
So he can but this is all to show his friends, show his business.
Exactly.
Oh, look what I've got. I own this. If he was to say, look, I own Highbury, right? People would go, all these flash people would go, it meant the world to us.
Yeah,
It needs like fucking tears now just thinking about it at the times I've had there. You know, it meant the world, and we loved it, and we would, didn't want to move. And but he just wanted a flashy, nice stadium, and he didn't care about, as long as he kept the head above water, and that's why he uses us as a money pot, because. He can only. That's all he's worried for. And for he's like, it's like, you know when you've ever you've had a. I mean, I have in the past where you've taken someone out on a business thing. You've taken them to a posh restaurant, and you don't want to take him to like a Kentucky Fried Chicken or something. So you take him to this beautiful restaurant that you know, and everybody knows you. That's why he moved to the Emirates.
Yeah. It was a showpiece, and now we're paying for it. Or we pay for it anyway with the price of the burgers, drinks, and pies in there, but and tickets. That's Arsenal. There was a bit of news about Leno, wasn't there?
Yeah, but Leno. This was a late bit of news before I come on tonight. Again, from a very good source, and I don't think it was his actual source. I think it's quite well known, but. He's come out and said that there's no guarantees that he'll be here at the end of the year. So that's a bit of a strong statement to come. And he's been quoted as saying it. So when we finish here, I'm going to have a look myself. But I did have a quick look, and I did see something on those lines. But I'd have Oblak, get him in.
Yeah, I can't see us attracting Oblak when we can't even get Europa League football. We couldn't get into Toto Cup right now.
Tomorrow night's games for Arsenal is massive. Huge. We lose tomorrow. Arsenal lose tomorrow, and that could be Arsenal's lot for the next 5 years. I'm telling you.
Yeah, Arsenal are done for if they lose tomorrow. They're in trouble, and they need to get Europe anyway. But that is the end of the show, and you can join us on the pre-match and post-match preview of the Arsenal versus Slavia Prague game in the Europa League. Also, you can catch Nathan Ellerton at 7:00 as soon as the team news comes out for the Man United pre-match and post-match reaction after the game as well. Thank you for joining us tonight on our debut of the transfer exchange, the transfer roundup on Wednesday. Say hello to the people in the comments. Hello, how you doing, Melvin?
All right, Melvin.
Why not Centomatic FC's come and say hello. Always say hello, how you doing, mate? Links to United or Arsenal. There was links with Arsenal previously, but it looks like Everton are the club that are more interested in pushing for him. Sarah of Watford. There are links with Sarah of Watford. Manchester United were linked with him recently, but there's a few clubs. I can't see. Watford should be coming back up. Liverpool again. Liverpool again for Sarah. Peter G. How you doing, Peter? Good morning, evening, as always from Australia. Mihal, how you doing, Mihal? Mara's scored. What's the score? And that's it. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for the panel. Thank you for the transfer news there, Steve.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight.
And our eyes around the place, the vision, the voice. It's Jerome Marks. How you doing? Oh no, I was sorry, reverse. See you later, Jerome.
That's it. See you later.
Not how you doing. Not how you doing. See you later.
See you tomorrow. All
right. Yes, you will see us tomorrow. Make sure you join us at 7 o'clock. As I said, we're going to have Nathan Ellerton talking about his views on the Man United lineup against Granada in the second leg of the Europa League. They take a 2-0 lead into that. And Arsenal, a must-win game in the Europa League as they take on Slavia Prague away from home. You should record that, Steve. You know, mate. That was like voiceover level.
Was it?
Yeah.
Biting me nails.
Yeah, but like the noise, it was all right. I might have to use that for a sampling.
Do you want me to send you a few background?
No, please don't. It could get a bit creepy. But yeah. All right. Thank you very much for joining us, people. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Peace out. Stay safe.